So, ladies and gentlemen, here's the deal. This podcast is not jumping on the bandwagon of Black Lives Matter. I've done several podcasts talking about the right wing political parties in New Brunswick, including the Parti Acadien, CORE, the PNAB. Now, a lot of people say, okay, where does anti left wing or moderate rising come from? Well, New Brunswick was a hotbed and still a hotbed of racism, but it was very prevalent in the early to mid 1920s all across the province. Now, there was some theory that because of the soldiers coming back from war, the fear of the rise of liberal rights, the diminishing of the conservative religious rights, that the KKK, which already started in the States in the mid 1860s as a response to the Civil War, was going to get a foothold in New Brunswick, and it did politically in New Brunswick and, of all places, Saskatchewan, which seems like a pretty moderate region. Now, in New Brunswick, I'm going to go over a little bit of the published history that was archived by various university scholars in New Brunswick over the last number of years. Now, don't be shocked by this because, there's racism all over the province. There's no virgins within New Brunswick in relation to attitudes. But it's kind of weird because people think, hey, it was just in Benton and Quebec, which is two very small communities in the southern part of New Brunswick in Carleton County. But when you listen to my narration on the essay, you'll see where I'm coming from. There's no virgins in this. Now, the photos that are accompanying the podcast are archived from the Benton March, which includes the horses that were used for the rally. How it worked, ladies and gentlemen, they would rally allegedly to get all the conservative Protestant origin riled up and to put allegedly a scare into people that were, not who they were and, look at us, look at us. Now, it's very moderate to say this, but they hated everybody equally, Catholics, Jews, blacks, anybody that was not white Anglo-Saxon Protestant or what he determined was white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. So here goes the narration and take it as you come. And in this last few days of Black Lives Matter, we have to basically expose the rat to, stop them from expanding their evil. Or, well, rats are not evil. Maybe the bacteria, what they call the races of bacteria. Now, this is the essay. The Knights of the Ku Klux Klan is a secret fraternal organization which believes in the supremacy of an Anglo-Saxon and Protestant society. The Klan was originally formed in Tennessee following the American Civil War. Soon outlawed there because of violence of Klansmen towards African Americans, the Klan was reorganized in 1950 in Georgia by people fearing the erosion of rural conservative values. Like their American counterparts, Canadian Klansmen despise all things Roman Catholic and feared the purity of the Anglo-Saxon race was being jeopardized by immigrants. It was this outlook that guided their activities in Canada. By 1929 and 21, the Klan was active in Montreal, and just 4 years later, Klaverns had been organized across Canada. In Saskatchewan, where the Klan was the strongest, a reorganization took place that resulted in amalgamation of several Klan movements throughout Canada. A list of Klaverns in New Brunswick, dated 6 December 1926, shows a total of 17 clans active in the province. 4 in Carleton County, Quebec, Woodstock, East Florenceville, and Heartland, like which the Bristol Florenceville region. 2 in Victoria County, Aroostook Junction and Plaster Rock. 4 in York County, Frankton, Canterbury, Macadam, and Napataga. And 1 each in St. Stephen, St. John's, Sussex, Chippenham, Moncton, Campbellton, and Frankton Junction. Now, there was some indication they were very strong in the Miramichi in Lower region, but I think the membership would go to their local Clavern meeting rather than start their own. We all already know Miramichi. There's been a rising right-wing movement over the last number of months. You can see in years we've seen Confederate flags, and I don't think they're as radical as the Klan, but the right-wing organizations are there. Now, an April 1927 meeting attracted representatives from 9 Claverns, and it was resolved that the clans of each county elect a county clerigo to carry on the Klan's work. Two key Klan figures in New Brunswick were the King Kliegel, the chief Klan officer for the province, G.E. Davies of Quebec, and J.S. Lord, the imperial scribe, who worked in the Klan's Toronto office when not fulfilling, get this, ladies and gentlemen, his duties as MLA for Charlotte County. Now, two instances where the KKK protested against the government, including August 26, 1929, when the Klan marched at Barker's Point near Frankton, and several hundred members from NB and Maine were fighting against bilingualism and bilingualism, bilingual schools in New Brunswick. And on June 20th, 1925, the provincial government received multiple letters from the Ku Klux Klan of New Brunswick against Liberal candidate Dysart because he was a Catholic. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is just a bare bones information on what the Klan was. There's no talk of individual rallies. There was an infamous march in Quebec, which was photographed and actually B&I papers, including my former paper, the Hamilton Tribune, posted in the archives. He tried a very major rally in the Dalhousie Hamilton area against the Francophones that were working at the mill in Dalhousie. He thought he could basically scare them from not working. And allegedly, they were driving around town trying to seek out Frenchmen to, you know, give them fear of working there. So take it as it will. In the province right now, 750,000 people. Not all the people are right wing or left wing. There's numerous centrists. But what the KKK did is instill a seed of ignorance or superiority within the people. When I came to Carleton County in the mid 1980s to come to college, the New Brunswick English speaking Canadians were strong. The start of the Anglo Society of New Brunswick was beginning. The political party called the Confederations of Regions New Brunswick Party, which believed official bilingualism was going to bring down the province, was starting to stir up because this was around the time Hatfield, who was from Hartland, the provincial premier, was losing power. And when the Liberals won 58 nothing in the vote in '87, that's when CORE basically rose. Now, I'm not comparing CORE to the KKK. Actually, no offense, ladies and gentlemen, the KKK is more organized than any political party that's been out there in North America. They are very, very well organized, very subtle. You work in biker gangs, you work in individual municipalities because it's almost like the Rotary gone bad. As everything that positive for the Rotary Club or the Knights of Columbus, they're their own version. They believe that Jews, blacks, Catholics, anybody that's not white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant. By the way, they're also Holocaust deniers, which is totally bizarre because you think of a anti-Jew organization who would be celebrating the fact 7 million of their enemies were murdered at the hands of somebody that believed in the Aryan nation or people that believed. But according to them, that's all a fake. Well, put it this way: if there's any KKK people listening to this podcast, we know who you are. We're not hard to find. The real solid people were out there, and we're going to fight against you until the end of time. You're jokes, but the problem is we take it seriously because if you try to do something to us, you know that the common and the spiritual people will rise up and take you out, not physically but mentally. You're a disgrace. You live in Canada. You call yourself Canadians. The infamous moment where my wife and I heard a couple of people at A&W in Woodstock just 3 years ago, 4 years ago, saying he was proud that their grandfather was in the Klan. Like who talks like that? Human beings don't talk like that. Anyway, leave it as it is. Good luck with all the rallies this week across North America and the world. And like I said, if you don't stand up against racism, racism will take over. KKK is all a bunch of pricks. They rise up and fall every once in a while. They're never truly going to go away because there's always going to be hateful people. It's just the way of the world. But I believe the world is predominantly good people, which we're seeing this week in the different ways that people are protesting. Some are protesting for female rights, gay rights, trans rights, Aboriginal rights. I'm an Aboriginal person. What happened in Edmonton, which was a tragedy in every shape or form. We must fight together to stop racism, and you got to keep fighting because it's like a virus. It never goes away. You got to be always on alert. So on this COVID Tuesday, wish everybody a happy day, and better people than me are fighting against everything that is bad out there, and Well, I'm on their side. Have a good day.